Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the village board meeting, 7 o'clock, Monday, September 12th, 2022. Well, roll call of officers.
We have Pete Anzia, Roseanne Guy, Don Gotcher, Sarah Heisler, Chris Clear, Rose Sowers, and Dan Holm present.
Open meeting law compliance check.
Yes, we are compliant.
Will you all please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Any public input? No public input. Then we'll move on to the Belgium Area Chamber of Commerce report.
All right, hi everybody. So I guess as far as our reports, this past Friday, we had 100 Minutes of Memories at the Belgium Legion Clubhouse. And it was a lot of fun. We had like 8 groups that we determined represented there, all telling the story of all the things that they've given back to our community over the last 100 years. So that was really interesting. And then the next big thing coming up is the Centennial. So just so you guys are aware of the events of that weekend, Saturday, we have a bunch of events coming up at Beekler Farms, which I'll go through in a little bit more detail later. And then Sunday, we have a celebration here at Village Hall. So the event on Sunday is from 1 to 3, and I'll go through all the details in a little bit, but hopefully you guys all have that on your calendars. We'd love to have our village board present. So more later.
Tara,
Yes.
those events at Beekler Farm, other than the concert, they're free, other than the concert?
Correct. There's things you can.
Buy, but I mean to
Right, you
actually
can just
go
go
there
there
and
for free,
walk
yes.
around and.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So, all right. That's
Okay.
all for now.
Okay, thank you.
See you in a few minutes.
Okay, then we'll move on to the village marshal report.
Okay, for August, we had a couple of dumpster violations. We had 2 people put fluorescent light fixtures in there. And they contacted them, they came and picked them up and got rid of them. And then we had complaints from garbage down at the mobile station in the backyard there, and they got that cleaned up. I see it starting to pile up again, so I'll have to get on it again. And we also had a barking dog complaint and a dog at large. And those things were addressed, and one complaint of grass clippings, which was also addressed, and one was a complaint of trash along the garage and in the backyard. I talked to the owner and he got it cleaned up, so everything's in good shape.
Any questions for Leon? I see we have a new go-kart running around town.
Oh, yeah.
Seen him about 5 times go by my house tonight.
Oh,
And it's about a 45-year-old guy.
in a go-kart?
No, in a go-kart. He's doing the speed limit though. So,
Is he in the bike lane?
no, he's right in the driving lane. So, haven't figured out where he's from yet, so
We'll let you know
something
apparently.
to keep your eyes open for.
All right.
Okay, then we'll move on to 8C. Approved village-wide trick or treat to be held Sunday, October 30th from 4 to 7.
These are all the consent agenda items, so it's grouped together
Okay,
by
Oh,
one motion.
okay.
So
Okay.
The minutes, the operator's license. Unless someone would want further discussion. on
Okay.
that one.
okay, I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda items. Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Unfinished business. 9A. From August 8th Village Board meeting, update of reed bed maintenance project expenses and determination of over budget expenditures. Paul, can you explain this?
As of right now, I'm looking pretty decent to stay within the $70,000 figure. I got one done and I figured it was a little more than 20,000, so. Barring it don't get a lot of rain on it, so we don't have to haul away rainwater. I think we should be okay. But Vicky did mention that if it does go a touch over, that there could possibly be some extra fundage.
Yeah, last month you guys approved him going up to the 70,000, which was budgeted. But you wanted me to look at the financials a little closer to see if it would be a problem if he went over budget. And I feel very confident that even up to a 10,000 over, he's not gonna decimate his capital projects
Right.
budget. So I don't see any problems with that. The sewer fund is actually in a very solid position right now.
Any questions for Paul?
Realistically, unless you want him to have to come back to you at this point, if you want to authorize him to go over budget up to a certain amount, you can do that. Otherwise, he'll have to come back if he gets near the threshold of 70,000, because right now you guys only approved him to the 70,000.
Figure you'll be able to get that done for 70?
I'm hoping so, yeah.
Okay.
Let it ride.
All right, then we'll move on to new business. 10A, donation request from Belgium Area Chamber of Commerce for Centennial Statue plaque. Don, could you, or one of you?
Here, actually, I have a quick handout for you guys. We just thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about the Centennial in general and.
It's the elevator pitch.
It's the elevator pitch. Just so you guys know, all that's been done this year to celebrate the Centennial, which I know we've touched on it every month, but, there we go. And there we go. Hang on.
It's true.
Let me just bring this up. Okay, so just to kind of summarize what we've done throughout this year, because it's like, man, there has been a lot that's happened. We made the Centennial logo, I think late last year. We created and hung 15 Centennial banners on Main Street that were all paid for by sponsorships. The brackets were paid for by the village from, I believe, a separate budget. We created and sold Centennial t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts and hoodies. That was done by the chamber. We celebrated it in the Luxembourg Fest Parade by creating a banner that Julie and her husband carried. And now the banner is hung up by the digital sign here on the center of town. Then we've done social media posts throughout the year with different images of Belgium and people from throughout the last 100 years. We've now hosted 300 Minutes of Memories events. We had one kind of celebrating the general history of Belgium in February at Luna's. We did a salute to the fire department at the fire department in May. And then we did the tribute to Belgium service clubs at the Legion again this past Friday. We were able to launch the Voices from the Village historical audio tour. Again, if you haven't done it, it's pretty cool how it works. If you walk through town, it's GPS activated. So as you walk past each location, there's 10 locations, it'll start to tell you the story of that location. There's no cost to the viewers for that. The signage on display throughout the village was paid for by different sponsors. So each of the 10 locations is marked by a sponsored paid sign. We did create some signs throughout the village to kind of explain the whole tour. And those are up, there's one in here, one at the park, and one at the bike trail kiosk. And then kind of an unexpected item that was a wonderful gift is the sculpture outside, and that was a special gift. It was created by a Luxembourgish immigrant. I don't know if you guys all heard the story of that already, but a woman named Victorine Hinger created that for us. And it was made possible by the generosity of my fiance, the LACS, and the chamber all chipped in. It was blessed by the Cardinal during Luxembourg Fest, and it's pretty cool because it's a permanent remembrance of the centennial. So just to keep going before we go back to that, to let you guys know all that's happening on Saturday. As I mentioned, Beekler Farms has an event going on in conjunction with their Harvest Fest. So Saturday, the Lions are gonna be there making their waffles, which is a good treat. The fire department will be there giving fire truck rides, and they'll be doing some brat fry, hamburgers, stuff like that. 4-H will be there, making some centennial crafts for the kids. Beekers have magicians and entertainers. They're kicking the day off with a Mickey and Minnie breakfast. They'll have Shad Lads playing throughout the day and Smart Home playing at night. And then at 5:30, they're gonna make a bonfire. And at 6 o'clock, they'll do a lantern release in their pond. It's not involving fire, FYI. So it's batteries and lanterns. And those are available for purchase from the chamber. So that's what's happening Saturday. And then Sunday, back here at the square again, 1 to 3, we'll have free cupcakes and ice cream. We've invited all the local government leaders to join us. Of course, all residents and business leaders are invited as well. We did make a request, I should say, Vicki made a request for a proclamation from the state, which we're hoping goes through. The LACS will be open from 1 to 3 at no charge. And then inside the LACS, we will have different displays of memorabilia. Everybody's welcome to contribute to that display if people want to go around and look at each other's pictures and little things that they bring in. We'll have a craft for the kids, and then we'll also have live music by Just Two Dudes. So really fun, busy weekend of activities in the village. So the one thing I wanted to mention is what the things. When we first presented our budget, it was for $5,000, and it did not include advertising. So I have on the third sheet that I gave you guys the current budget and what's been spent so far and what we would like to spend to finish this off the right way. And what we would like to ask you for as far as advertising, because it looks like we will come in under budget on time. And so, in fact, this is a tiny bit different than what we discussed because I didn't get a final price from Kim, but we would like to ask for $1,030 to cover advertising. And that can come out of the room tax dollars because it's tourism related.
Yeah, so just for those of you who are new, who don't know, prior to 2016, all room tax that was collected, the village held on to. 70% of it had to be earmarked only to advertise for events that promote an overnight stay. After 2016, all those room tax dollars have to be given to an official tourism entity. So the chamber is our partner in that. They have created a tourism entity. All that money goes to them now. But the funds that we collected prior to 2016, we cannot spend it on anything except for advertising for events that are promoting overnight stay. Usually we use about $3,500 each year that we donate to the Luxembourg Fest for advertising in the area. We do have, assuming we do that, right now we have about $5,500 left in that fund. So if you approve this, because this is one of the events that is a 2-day event, it definitely meets the qualifications of the law. So it's basically money that you can't spend on anything anyway, other than this type of event. So that's what the room tax money is that Tara is referencing.
And if you're wondering where I got that exact number, it's the items highlighted in gray under advertising. And so those are the advertising items specifically going towards this 2-day event in October. So for instance, it did not include the 100 Minutes of Memories advertising or the Voices from the Village advertising. It's only promoting the activities in October.
And that's 1,000 and what?
1,030. So it's the 300 for the EDDM we already did, 130 for the banner. And then 400 for an EDDM that we would like to do that just promotes the activities in October, and 200 for Facebook advertising.
And the reason that wasn't included originally in the budget was just either the new things that popped up or.
Yeah, we were at the beginning of the planning
Yeah.
stages, so it was hard to know what we would need to promote.
Well, I make a motion that the board approve $1,030 to go to the chamber to out of our room tax funds in order to support our centennial celebration.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And Tara, before you sit down, I do have a question. You know, you mentioned all the dignitaries that are gonna be there. Are we alerting the local media stations? They may not be interested, but who knows? They do crazier things than that, so.
And then the second part, of the request is, again, we have this beautiful centennial statue out there, that was not, we didn't know it was coming when we first put up this budget. And now it's here, and we're very grateful for that. But it doesn't have photo, in case you haven't looked too closely at it, but it doesn't have any kind of a label on it, just signifying what it is, where it came from, what it's from, or anything like that. So our second part of our request is we would really love to have some sort of a plaque on there that commemorates this special occasion, so people know from now until eternity, just what a great gift this was, and just how we celebrated our centennial here in Belgium. So I will hand the reins over to Don, who has done the research. Did I miss anything, Don?
No.
Okay.
First of all, there was a saying that we came up with for the sculpture.
Pass this around to you.
So it says, sculpted by Luxembourg immigrant, Victorine Hinger, created in honor of the village of Belgium's centennial anniversary. The collaboration between Village of Belgium, Luxembourg American Cultural Society, Belgium Area Chamber of Commerce, with thanks to the generosity of Mike Anze, Honorary Consul of Luxembourg, Wisconsin, dedicated October 2nd, 2022. And that's what we've looked at putting on the plaque. To have a plaque that is something that you can see fairly well. I had talked to one particular supplier about it. Came up with a size of about 16 inches by 12 inches, 16 inches wide by 12 inches high. And that would allow for, because some of these lines are pretty long, for it to be, so we don't have to chop this wording up that we have here. And some, it allow room for the mounting of it. So, permanent plaque is what I looked at, and if all of you or some of you are familiar with the plaques that were done at Heritage Park, that the Lions did for the concession stand, it would be a plaque similar to that has a raised letter to it, machine surface, and some sort of a background.
Don, where would you hope to have it affixed? To the base or down on the ground or?
On base.
This is I have two examples. That's more of the aluminum, what they call an aluminum, and then a bronze. What I did was make up the base to scale, and
I just noticed that letter. Is that where I think it's from?
I stole so much paper before I retired. They just have it outlined here. This is where that opening is on the stand, and that's how a 16 by 12 plaque looks within that.
Are they okay with it going on the base?
Well, it's owned by the village, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
just, yeah,
I
I
mean,
didn't,
how would the artist feel, I guess, or?
Well, they
the-
didn't supply the base.
Oh, okay, great.
we supplied the base.
Brian,
Oh,
no,
Brian has
Oh,
yeah.
well then forget it.
Mike.
Never mind, carry on. I thought it was all one thing, and I work there, I should know.
Yeah, Nancy picked up the cost of the base.
Yeah.
And, the way that I look at attaching it, since there's stone on the inside, which makes it difficult to get behind it, is that we would drill and tap the plate and fasten it that way. And maybe we leave a little gap there so that, because that plate is gonna continue to rust. I wanted to go ahead and leave down on that.
Yeah, we put stone in there because we didn't want it to be a garbage can.
Yeah, and I agree with you totally. It's just now getting the stone out if you wanted to get behind it.
Right.
Yeah, but.
I mean, it's been used for worse, sure.
So they're permanent plaques. They would be something that would they'd have a coating on them. And again, there's a number of plaques like that around the village as far as the cast plaques or what they call machine plaques. And these would be machine plaques. I think everybody got a copy of the quotes for the
It was in a separate email.
separate email.
I would pose.
The bronze plaque, which is probably, I would have to say the preferred because of the way that bronze looks against that surface, okay, is $990, plus tax, which we can get
Over 1,000.
yeah, but again, you can buy it through the village or whatever, or I don't know, does the chamber have a tax exempt status?
Well, if the village orders it and
Yeah.
if they
One or
approve
the
it,
other.
we can get it tax
Yeah.
free.
So one or the other, we won't be paying tax on it. It will have a coating on it. They hold up very well in weather. They're made to be mounted outdoors. In the background on there is more of a textured background. The brown portion on there, you can't see it. I think you can see it on that one. It's a textured background. And that's how it would be, whether it was aluminum or bronze. The aluminum, of course, is a cheaper metal. So that one is $554.40. So at this point, I guess, if there are any questions for me on it, I guess what we're looking for is, I think the preferred one to me and to just the aesthetics of it would be the bronze one to put on there. As far as longevity, they're both gonna last the same amount of time. It doesn't matter which metal it is. At some point in time, it may have to get cleaned up. I think there's some oxidation that can form on them after long periods of time. But that's the only thing that would have to be. So, at this point, I guess I'd like to know direction wise, which way I can try to proceed to do something about it, and if the village is interested in paying for the plaque.
Vicky, what sort of fund options would we have if we were to pay for it? Where would this be coming from?
If you wanna look at the screen, if you were to add, what is it, 9? Well, I'll just put in 1,000. If we put in 1,000, it keeps us at 24%, so we're still in a solid fund balance position. So it's.
Including wiggle room for, other emergencies that might.
Yeah,
come up?
exactly. The auditors always recommend that you have a minimum fund balance of at least 10%. 10 to 25 is recommended, so we're barely below the top edge of that if we even spending this. So, should be no problem with our budget, or our fund balance in that regard.
Well, you only turn 100 once and Queen Liz didn't even make it that far, so,
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. yeah,
Not having a fire.
absolutely. I move that the village, fund this out of our fund balance. And I would also further the motion that, we, use the bronze.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I'll do is, once I get the proof, because what's gonna happen, they're gonna create a proof for it. I'll pass it by everybody and see if anybody has any final comments before we tell them to go to production. And I think that we'll probably have a proof within a week or two, and then it'll be 4 weeks after that to get the plaque. So it won't make it here by the centennial, but by that time I should have a picture of it. We could display the picture of the plaque at that time for the centennial. Right.
And Danny, your guys would be probably the ones to put it on there.
Just one final thought, we are going to have a very small little ceremony that day, cake cutting. People will read the proclamation. Obviously, as trustees, as village reps, it would be very nice if you guys could be there and participate in that. So I would request that you, if you can, try to be there.
And that's on the Sunday, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from 1 to 3, we'll probably be doing the ceremony.
And I think all the service clubs also will be involved as far as having the tables that only see us. I think that's being done right now, so.
And at least one of the area reps has already responded, Ron Johnson's office, he cannot make it himself, but he is sending his district rep to, represent them, so hopefully we'll get others also.
Okay, then we'll move on to 10B. Approve finance and personnel's recommendation that marketplace providers not be required to obtain an annual permit from the village. Julie, can you explain this one?
So, the room tax state statutes have been updated to allow for marketplace providers to collect room tax. They distribute it to the municipalities. And I was contacted by a marketplace provider asking if, we would, if we charge an annual, permit like we do for our hotels, you know, our hotels, and we have another, place that rents rooms, they're charged an annual hotel license from the village and they collect the room tax. And so the F&P discussed this and, they agreed that it wouldn't be, we wouldn't assess an annual permit to marketplace providers. And I discussed it with Jerry also regarding the need, the requirement of that, and there isn't a requirement for us. However, one of the things that came up in the discussion is, our village ordinance does require, anyone that rents a room that they need to purchase an annual permit. So that would apply to, let's say I decide to sign up with Airbnb and rent out my house. According to our ordinance, I need to get an annual permit from the village. However, the village has no way of knowing
That you're
who
doing it.
is doing that. So, you know, I don't know, Jerry, is it a requirement that we collect an annual?
Well, the burden is on the business to obtain a permit.
Yeah,
If we found out about it, obviously we'd reach out to them and say, hey,
okay,
you gotta get a permit. There are actually ways that, I can't think of the organization, for the attorneys for the town of Holland. The town of Holland has a short-term rental permit requirement because they have a lot of problems with people doing Airbnb down in lake properties and And people are going to the next door neighbor's hot tub and stuff like that. So I got, so they regulate that now. And they subscribe to some business that can tell you who's putting their property on Airbnb or Vrbo or places like that. So if we really wanted to get out there and find it out, we probably could. Now, it certainly isn't scientific. I kind of doubt there's a lot of that going on in the village of Belgium.
No, we did collect some for a while and we attempted repeatedly to find out the properties that these places were paying, while Airbnb and Vrbo and those will not tell us that. So, but we figured out eventually, one of them got a hold of us and we determined that they had the property lines or the district lines switched between the town and the village. So they were collecting tax on town properties and remitting it to us. Now, they told us we didn't have to pay any of it back, and they corrected it on their end. But we have not had any revenue come in since then, and that's been like probably a year now. So my guess is that unless there were a big event like a golf tournament or something, that it's not gonna happen very often, although there is a person who did comment, they were buying a house that they were thinking of putting in, to do rentals and stuff like that. The difficulty comes in our, when we get that revenue, that tax revenue, it's, we don't know who's doing it. So, and by the time we go to look at their website to see, it might not be listed anymore. So, and aside from subscribing to a service, which I don't think we have nearly enough usage to monitor it. And, so kind of the discussion was, for the purposes of our community, is it even necessary to collect that $50 a year from any of our hotel providers? That's kind of where the question for you was, is it legally, right now we collect $100 a year from the Cozy Craft House and the hotel. They're both complying with room tax laws. We have no problems. I don't know that, we could still have them do a permit, but not a fee associated with it or something. Those are discussions for the committee to talk through later. But it was just noted that, that's the issue with collecting a permit fee with the way our ordinance is now. It's very hard to police and to track down who we have to
So
charge
the
that to.
bottom line is, it's probably not worth the effort for the pittance that we would collect.
Right, and I mean, I don't know, there could be an option where maybe you say anyone who rents it for more than a certain number of days per year has to pay the fee or something. I don't know.
Because we would still collect the room tax from the provider that this rental place is registered. or
Correct.
Works through. We'll still get that 7% tax, but they don't have a license.
Right.
And so, yeah, I guess right now there aren't a lot, so it's.
And I'm just spitballing here, but most of the time, I think you're right. There's not a huge vacation market for the village of Belgium. But on those rare occasions when we do have some sort of Kohler golf tournament, how difficult would it be for us to police the Airbnb sites, just looking for addresses that we know are in our community?
Well,
So in other words, why would
I
we
mean,
have to
we'd
pay a
to be on
subscription?
there at least daily, if not
That's a
monthly,
lot.
because
Okay.
it changes.
I don't know, because
And
I've
there's
never
like
looked at it,
4
so.
of them. There's a lot.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
They don't
They,
show
they,
addresses.
they don't show addresses,
Right.
they show, I mean.
They show
sometimes they
areas,
have kind of a dot on a map, but it's not specific, I mean.
right?
We had looked when we were getting this revenue, and we would see occasional houses at the lake that were listed on like Airbnb and stuff. The problem as I see it, and as the person who's responsible for dealing with the room taxes and that, is the law has taken care of the problem of the room tax collection. We don't have to deal with it, they do. They send it to us, that's great. But in our ordinance right now, we require that anybody who rents a room get a permit and pay $50. If we get tax revenue on a rental through an Airbnb, we are realistically supposed to be charging them and, you know, so then there's time and effort to try to track down who this person was to enforce compliance
Right.
with our, you know, so, you know, in my opinion, I would like to see a solution that didn't put that burden on us in the office to try to track down compliance with this ordinance. You know, so I don't know the solution to the problem, and it's not really, you know, relevant to the, you know, actual motion on the table, but I think it's something that the board needs to look at and consider going forward.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve, F&P's recommendation that marketplace providers not be required to obtain an annual permit from the village.
Second.
Motion's been made second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. 10C, approve finance and personnel's recommendation. Approve ordinance number 11-22, amending municipal code 35-16, room tax.
Same thing.
Yeah,
No, it's bringing our ordinance.
Yeah, it's correcting the ordinance to not.
Bring it in the conformance with state
Ah.
statute. So
There's, yeah, there were
Got it.
others, the state statutes were updated, so now we're applying the state statutes.
Basically, what they did was the state passed a law that said that, they have to use a uniform tax form and the marketplace providers only have to remit it quarterly. So our ordinance required monthly remittance of room tax. Now, the state says, no, they don't have to do it monthly, they have to do it quarterly. And they have to use a uniform form, so.
And it provides them a list of municipalities that collect food taxes, not all municipalities.
Right. Do we need to approve that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I make a motion to approve finance and personnel's recommendation to approve ordinance 11-22, amending municipal code 35-16, room tax.
I'll second it.
motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. 10D, introduce and approve resolution 12-22, closing TID number 4. Vicky, can you explain this? You were at the meeting the other night?
Yeah, so, our TID has reached its maximum life by September 25th. We must pass this resolution to close the TID, so it has to be done tonight. There is a resolution that is a state form, that needs to be introduced by someone on the board, and then you have to vote to approve the resolution. Basically, this is saying that our TID is closing. We will collect one more year of tax revenue on it. For this tax year, which will be paid in next year, and then everything will be settled and ended next year.
well, then I will introduce, resolution 12-22, closing the tax incremental district number 4.
A second.
Well, that was just introducing.
Oh, okay, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 12-22, closing TID number 4.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. 10E, approve nominal property acquisition payments for properties located within project area on Elevator Lane.
So you got this, email to you. These are the portions of right of way that we have to purchase to, complete the project on Elevator Lane. So these are the negotiated, amounts, which are all based on the property value. It basically is based, you know, that they study it, and then slightly rounded up, like $5 or something like that. But these were negotiated with the owners. All of the owners have agreed to these prices and, you know, very reasonable. If you guys approve it, then we will go ahead and make this final and then they can finish otherwise we can't finish the road because we don't own the property.
And it's part of the project cost.
Yeah, it is part of the budgeted project cost, correct.
I'll make a motion to approve not only property acquisition payments for properties located in the project area on Elevator Lane.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. 10F, approve certificate payment number 3 to Soper Sewer and Water LLC for the 2022 storm sewer and street reconstruction project for the amount of $592,726.63.
It's just our regular payment, right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate payment number 3 to Soper Sewer, I was gonna say Soper Sewer and Water LLC for the 2022 storm sewer and street reconstruction project for the amount of $592,726.63.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? How many more payments are there? Just one?
It's up to them. They submit them usually monthly.
They're ahead of schedule on the project, so
Okay, that's good.
I would say it'll be 2.
We've only spent about, less than 1.5 million on an almost $3 million project, so I'm assuming there will be a couple more.
Okay,
Yeah, at least.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 10G, approve and possible action for the change order for masonry portion of community park shelter.
Okay, on Friday, we met with Brian Beekler and Donnie Miller for our project in the park. And one of the things where we talked about was on existing refreshment stand, there's windows there that are server windows are gonna be blocked up. Right now, we're thinking of blocking it up, but the problem we're running into, you can't find the block there are. And the mud joints are not gonna match the different colors. On the east side of the building, we're gonna take half the wall out just because we're moving the cooler on the inside. By the time we all do that, we thought we would just get a price on to see what, take the old building down and start from new. And the reason why we were thinking that is because when you guys come and anybody comes into the park, they're gonna run right into where we take them 2 windows, the survey windows on the north side there, and you're gonna see a patch job and then they're thinking, wow, how does this look, you know, and they get reputable contractors that take pride in their work, and then right away they're gonna get blamed for it.
Right.
And it's just gonna look, it's gonna look bad.
What shot at first impression?
Well, another,
No.
another thing is like, on the west side where you're gonna put the bathrooms, you would have split face block in your bathroom instead of
Yeah.
smooth block, so. And this thing like this, because, you know, you never got split face block inside of the building, it's on the outside, exterior.
Yeah.
So then we came up with this, and then he came with a price like this, and
I
I mean,
think,
if we probably would have thought it better, you know, when we were designing everything. And we were kind of looking for the way to save money, but now when you get down to reality, I mean, it's gonna show.
Right.
And another thing is you gotta take the roof off anyhow. So
Yeah.
that's the roof, so we're putting 2 more quarters of block on top here, and we can't match the block, because there's a 4-inch square. On the block, on the split face,
Right.
it's not available anymore, so.
The additional ask is 13,860. And the overall project was over budget already.
Yeah, so, how this would, where this would put us is, we originally budgeted, 7,000 for the plumbing fixtures, which we have gotten donated by, Kohler Company. So, this would leave us a net of about 7,000. Now, we do have a contingency worked in of around 30,000.
Put 30,000.
So, you know, hopefully this would just come out of contingency and nothing else would come up. But I did throw this full 13,000 into our capital projects schedule just to see how it would impact our budget. And it will increase the amount of savings we have to do, for a few years, by a couple thousand. However, it's still, our current savings is less than it was last year. So it's within our budget amounts to be able to make that. So I don't foresee any problems with it, even if we end up having to pay the full 13 things.
I don't know, I think for as much money as we're spending, we might as well do it
Well,
right.
it's just gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
It's gonna-
Yeah.
If you do it that way, it's gonna be there forever.
Well, and it's gonna have Brian and, you know, their names are on it and,
I mean, they take pride
right,
in their work.
I wouldn't
and-
want to,
We don't want to. look
we don't want them to look,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't want them to look bad.
So do we have to, with the motion, or do you have
Yeah.
to submit?
No, you have to make a motion to approve the change.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to approve the change order for the masonry portion of the community park shelter.
I'll say.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion on that?
Yeah, I just have one question. First of all, I'm gonna vote for this because I completely agree with all that you've said, but is there any more surprises lurking in the future?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay.
Well, if they know about it, it's not.
I just, So,
If I can make an off-hand comment, we are at line of going to get involved in the project. I think once the village comes to us with the plan and we'll make
Thank you.
Right.
We'll put you down for 7,000.
I would
Come on,
say-
or
at least, good work.
Don't say that.
okay, well, I'm done.
Okay, any other discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.